Hi guys, everyone. Happy to see you back. Believe it or not.
Hey guys, all in press conference today at lunchtime. Got the two mics. Show of hands, and if you could give your name and organisation for your question, that'd be great.
Hi Vincent, James from Sky. Good afternoon. Nice to see you. How much are you looking forward to making this kind of protracted long goodbye? And also, are you going to start tonight?
Let me start by the end of your question. Unfortunately, no, I won't be starting tonight or playing. But it's typical of me, right? So I'm usually there for the end of the season, and I've got a slight hamstring injury, so I couldn't unfortunately risk it tonight. But still, plenty of awesome plays to be watching today. And anyway, it's about a celebration. To kind of say goodbyes. It doesn't need to be on the pitch as such. And in the same way, I'd like to say that we're doing it for an unbelievable cause. And that takes priority for me. I'll be there for David Silva's testimonial, so, all Koens.
But you're right. What is it about this football club, but also this city of Manchester, that's kind of found a place in your heart?
I'll tell you what, the very first time I set foot in Manchester was obviously first to meet my wife Carla, and I just loved the place. It was a friendly place, and then when I signed for City, it became even more apparent to me that this was a place for me to be successful. In my very first game was I think a man of the match performance against West Ham, and ever since I've never felt any more happy with my football, my private life. So this place means a lot. And the fans have contributed to that, of course.
I think we're running a poll at the moment about the best Premier League central defender. I think you're in the semi-finals. You've beaten Jaap Stam. Firstly, where do you see yourself, and also who do you consider to be the best Premier League central defender?
No, I never tried to put me in any of these categories, because ultimately these guys have been consistently at the top, but also at the top of their powers. My journey was completely different. I've never been able to compete with the same tools and all these other guys. I've had to deal through a lot of injuries, a lot of moments of comebacks, and I think I'm appreciated at this club. For me, actually, not to play this game because of an injury is surely it's not escaped the irony. The irony is not escaped to anyone. But that's been my journey at City. That's how they know me, and coming back. And I was always fighting my own battles, and I could never compete with anybody else because I wasn't getting the volume of games, but I was able to be substantial for my team over the years, and that's the only thing that mattered to me.
So who's the best when you look at your
the best
position?
Well, you've eliminated Jaap Stam, so so you know what, I go back to plays that really impressed me when I played against them as central defenders, and I think I would bring it back to wait, hold on. I would bring it back to Virgil van Dijk, and it's a weird one because he hasn't been on the scene for as long as these names we mentioned. John Terry, Rio Ferdinand. These guys were there for a long time, but the signs he showed in these last few years just make it so obvious that if he would have been at the top level before that, he would have been already further as well. And from what I've seen in terms of having an impact on the team, and a defender is never about himself, it's about his communication with other guys and how you make your team more solid. And the Liverpool before Van Dijk and the one after him, it's a completely different setup. And I'll give him that one because of that.
Vincent, Simon Stone, BBC. How does it feel to you that your name kind of has gone beyond being a football player, that people associate you with the causes that you were aligned with for your testimonial and the kind of social side of life as much as being a captain of Manchester City?
It's always been a key part. I mean, for people, and I think there's a few journalists here who've known me from before my time at City, before my time even in Hamburg. I've always been moved by other things, just more than just football. And it's been a perfect match for me to be able to be a successful football player, and because of that, bring projects forward. And then when I look at what Manchester means to me, and not forgetting my kids are Manx, my missus, Carla, is a Manx, and we've always kind of had this idea together that we had to do something substantial for a city that's given us so much. And we've waited the right time, and then came this opportunity to team up with the mayor, Andy Burnham, and to do something to try and help resolve a crisis, which is the homelessness crisis, that really needs support. It's as simple as that, really. Just blessed to be in a position where I can do something about it.
And do you think we're moving into an era with you, with Raheem, various other football players as well, where players are using their profile to shine a light on areas of society and areas of the world that people have maybe brushed under the carpet before, as Raheem's done with racism?
Yeah, I feel that's been around for longer, though. I think players have always had a role to play in. We're just normal members of society, but there's opportunities for us to speak up about stuff because we have a bigger platform, and I think it's been around for a while. What has changed perhaps is if I just narrow it, the most important thing is whether it's credible or not. Do you really believe in what you support or not? And I think the example of Raheem is a good one, because he's been affected in every way. His personal life, his professional life. Having to deal with racism is one of the hardest things you can imagine, in terms of not many people will understand your situation, and yet you have to face something that impacts your everyday. And Raheem speaking up was a massive step in the right direction, but it's been around for a while, though. Me being able to do something just to support all these organizations who try and resolve homelessness every single day. It's an opportunity, but it's because I believe in it, and otherwise it wouldn't be worth as much. So I can support because me, my wife, my family, they all stand behind this cause, and we want to have an impact. We want to get to the end of this.
Vincent, Don McGuinness, Talk Sport. To do this, to help you raise this money and to do the great things you're doing now, you've got your City Legends team, there's a Premier League Legends team, which is very Manchester United heavy, to say the least. How much of a compliment is that to you, that you've got the red side supporting you so much tonight?
I think we're specifically dealing with, homelessness in Greater Manchester, and you can't have a successful project without having the red side of Manchester involved. And Solskjaer was present in the very first part, when we did the fundraising, and it's a credit to them and to the club. Look, we've got our differences, I think it's clear, but if we can get together for these kind for these type of events, I think we make the city stronger. You look at Manchester, how it's progressed over the last 10 years, 11 years since I was here. It's not just one side of the city, it's the blue side as well, who's come up and almost help with the regeneration of this city. And stronger we can do more. So I'm glad to have him here, and I'm sure Gaz Neville expects to be booed every now and then on the ball, but we'll have to take it when we go to Old Trafford as well.
Just a final one. In terms of you doing this, and obviously you had your 11 years here as a leader for the team on the pitch, you're now proving to be a leader with this cause off the pitch. Are we likely to see any more captains in the Premier League like you that obviously take their seriousness away from the football pitch, away from the grass, into society problems?
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit each to their own. Everybody will be dealing with it in different ways. I mean, the side of things you don't see. I've been involved in Manchester now with this cause, and it's very public and it happens now. But I've done a lot of stuff who are less public especially to the English public, whether it was in Brussels or in Africa and so on and so on. So I'm assuming more players do a lot of things away from the media, and I think it doesn't get the attention, maybe perhaps because they don't want it. But we shouldn't underestimate how much we actually do. Most of us come from nothing, so giving away is a natural thing to do. People forget about that. Sometimes give away on cars, houses, and so on. But giving away to people you love or people you care about is a normal thing for us because we come from nothing, most of us. Not everything gets in the media, and perhaps it's also the right thing to do.
Hello, it's Sarah from ITV. I know you've just said they're each to their own, but do you have a message for other footballers or perhaps other sports people to maybe follow in your lead a bit now that you've left us?
I don't know. If you specifically talk about leadership, I just make it very simple. I said a good leader or a good captain in terms of football is the one guy who cares about the team a little bit more than himself. And that goes a long way. You do sacrifice certain things sometimes because you put other people ahead of yourself. But ultimately, that's what you have to do to be a good leader. So that's my simple advice to all these guys who are looking for leadership roles.
And in terms of passing that on to causes like you have been doing, should other footballers, other sports people be doing the same there?
Yeah, but I go back to the same message. You'd be surprised. I'm sure a lot of footballers do a lot. Not everything gets published. I mean, I have a great opportunity. I have a testimonial, which you usually have to wait a solid 10 years for that, and it's an opportunity to show to the public and to raise awareness. But before that, I did a lot already, and a lot of players do. But I definitely encourage all the young players to look into doing more with their careers than just playing football and going home and that's it. I think there's more to it, and you get advised the opposite a lot of the times. I'm able to have an impact on another club now as well with Anderlecht, and I advise them to be open to other things as well. It makes them more rounded people and better people to work with.
Vinny, just on the City team you've left behind, obviously one of your centre-back partners, Laporte's out for 4 months. He's probably with Van Dijk's been one of the outstanding centre-halves the past year or two. How big a loss is that to the team, and do you think they've got the quality to cope with that for the next few months? Well,
the key thing is obviously by losing Laporte, you lose a big player, and I think the big players, especially, you need them in the bigger games, and that's where we'll see. But the key strength of this Manchester City team and what Pep has been able to do with this team is that it's relying more on the system than the individuals. If you go back through the last 2 years in which the team won 5 of the 6 available domestic trophies, you've had to deal with long spells of Fernandinho out, long spells of Kevin De Bruyne out, long spells of myself being out, Kun Aguero as well. So big players, and the team has never seemed to collapse. So if they can avoid and recover this gap by becoming a stronger team, then I don't see City weakening. I think Pep is way too aware of this danger to let it happen. I think the players have experience now as well.
Vincent, Peter from Premier League. Can I just ask you, they're always very nostalgic events, these testimonials. It's been 11 long years, quite a journey. Can you reflect on the club's development since you first walked through the gates and how it is today?
Massive. I mean, first, you know what? When I was at this club, even in the last year of being at this club, it was still the same old City to me. Talking the same way we were talking in the first year I was here, having the same kind of culture and values that we had in the first year I was here. Different demands, but very much the same club. And if you go around the stadium and places like this, you'll meet a lot of people who are still the same people than 11 years ago. But where it's changed the most is now that I'm in a different country, coming back here, you realize the magnitude of the club. I never realized it when I was here. For me, it was just, same old Man City with same old Simon next to me. And, he was there when we were doing press conferences in porter cabins. So to be in this fancy kind of new lounge or whatever, it's, I think that's where you realize when you come back is, wow, it's a big club now. And we've all had Simon, as much as myself, as much as Shaz in the back over there, we've all had some kind of role to play. And yeah, it's special to have been a part of this, special to be appreciated by such a big club now as well.
And for the future, for City to go from a big club to a major club, what do they have to achieve? Do they have to keep winning the Premier League? Do they have to win the Champions League?
Well, depends how you look at it. I consider City as a major club already. The Champions League will come. I think it's... I said it maybe 8 years ago. I said winning the Premier League is inevitable because of the way that people are working behind the scenes. If it was just about infrastructure and it looking fancy, I'd be more worried. But because of how they work and the consistency of this club, it'd be ridiculous to bet against City winning the Champions League at some stage. I hope it'll happen soon, but that's what happens with these kind of trophies. It can happen over a period of time, but it will happen. It's a matter of time, just like winning the Premier League was a matter of time, because if you invest well and especially back the right people, it will happen.
And just to check, did you come to City because of Carla, or was it the other way around?
No, I came to City by chance, and it happened to be the city in which Carla was living and the club she was supporting. It was more of a hindrance in the beginning of our relationship than something positive. But yeah, it happened completely by chance, like so many things have happened in my career at this club.
Back, please. Just right there. Thank you.
Vincent, bonjour. Une question en français. Si tu devais garder une anecdote, d'ailleurs qui a peut-être pas été encore racontée, sur quelque chose qui s'est passé pour toi à City, ça peut être dans les vestiaires, ça peut être quelque chose d'un peu fou qu'on connaît pas encore. Qu'est-ce qui te revient en mémoire?
Alors je vais le dire en français parce qu'elle a peut-être pas encore été racontée en français, mais une des anecdotes dont je me souviens, c'est avant le match contre Newcastle à l'extérieur, dans la première année où on gagne le titre. Il y a Touré qui vient me trouver avant le match. Il me dit « Oh Vincent, bien joué cette saison, hein, tout dégagé derrière, bien défendu et tout. Maintenant c'est à moi, tu vas voir. » Moi je me dis « Mais il est fou celui-là, de quoi il parle? On doit se concentrer, c'est le match le plus important à Newcastle à l'extérieur. Ils étaient 4e à l'époque, c'est une bonne équipe. Et on arrive dans le match, bam bam, 2 goals, Yaya Touré. C'est pas possible. On arrive au match contre QPR. Et Kuhn, il vient me dire hey, « Puto, pas de problème et tout ça, aujourd'hui c'est pour moi. » Et je me souviens, à la 90e minute ou la 90e minute, on arrive au match et je dis, il a joué le pire match de la saison. Il m'a vendu du rêve avant le match. Lui, je vais pas le louper après le match, je vais aller le chercher. Et à la 93e minute, il met le but et il nous gagne le titre à ce moment-là. Et je me suis dit, bon, finalement, c'est ce que ça veut dire être un grand joueur. C'est à un moment savoir que son moment est arrivé.
Tu dirais que tu as appris tout au long de ta carrière à Manchester en côtoyant peut-être les plus grands joueurs du monde?
Ouais, mais toujours. Même maintenant à Anderlecht, on apprend toujours. Yeah.
Hi Vincent. Obviously the club has changed a lot in the 11 years since you first arrived. How much have you changed? What were you like when you first arrived at the club? Did you see yourself as becoming this leader and the legend at the club?
I think I walked through the door and in being humble still, I was a leader from the first day. But being a legend, no, you can't predict those things. I mean, if you ask how I've changed from these days, I think now I'm a much more calm leader, if I would describe myself today. My first year at City, I saw something wrong and I had to act and everything. And I was pushing constantly and fronting people up. And if it needed conflict, I would, until we get it right. But like I said, I was always, from the first day, I've always put the team before my own good. And there were many players that were bigger players than I was, or promised to a better future or earning more money than I was. And yet myself, but not just myself, and a core of people. I think Joe Hart was one of them. Nigel de Jong was one of them. There was so many to name. In the early days, we were really, really holding a lot together, making sure that the club was bigger than any individual, because it looks normal now. You come in this place, you say, yeah, Man City is bigger than any individual, and it doesn't matter who plays and we still win. It wasn't the case back then, and I think as a group of players in the dressing room, we had a big impact on shaping this culture from the inside.
Dag Vince.
Ja. Gilles,
goed. Ja, Vince, klein vraagje over de korte toekomst en de lange toekomst. Hoe lang zie je jezelf nog als voetballer? Is het EK realistisch, het WK realistisch? En wat zie je op lange termijn in het voetbal? Blijf je trainer? Ik sprak vandaag Arnessen, die zegt bijvoorbeeld, Vincent zou misschien op termijn zelfs voorzitter kunnen worden.
Ik ga eerst het simpele antwoorden. Dus het EK is uiteraard realistisch. Het WK, even rustig aan doen. Maar ik wil gewoon genieten nu van de momenten die ik nog heb als speler. Ik geniet elke dag keiveel van gewoon... je weet het zelf, je bent zelf speler geweest. Dat laat je niet zomaar los. En ik geniet nog elke dag van het trainen met de jongens. Echt plezier hebben op het veld met jonge, talentvolle spelers die graag voetballen. Als trainer vind ik het, of noem het manager, als persoon die verantwoordelijkheid heeft om zeg maar een bepaalde visie uit te stippelen, vind ik het ook even geweldig. Omdat ik nu in een situatie ben waar ik heel veel ervaring kan overbrengen van een ongelooflijke periode hier op deze club, maar ook in Duitsland bijvoorbeeld. Dus ik geef zelden iets op tenzij ik het gevoel heb van oké, het is over. En ik ben heel zelfkritisch en heel eerlijk met mezelf. Dus op dit moment zit ik in een positie waar ik geniet en waar ik het gevoel heb dat ik heel veel bijbreng. En dus ik ga dat zeker niet zomaar veranderen. Ja.
Hi Vinny. How did you go about choosing the City legends that you wanted to be here? And were there any players that you would have liked to have been included that couldn't make it?
Yeah, so I realized one big thing when you do a legends team. First of all, make sure your legends are not playing anymore. And obviously all the City legends are still active in so many places. So I dropped the ball on that one a little bit. And the next thing is, it was for us as well, more than just because I could ask Pep for the entire team that's playing now, and I think we'd have a pretty solid legends team. But it was also about celebrating, for me, the 11 years that I've been able to kind of build to this with so many players that have each contributed a little bit. So I've got Bellamy playing today, and that's a big one for me because he helped me shape my ideas as well about the culture for the club that I carried on further. So he's played a role without a lot of people knowing it. I'm glad as well that I think Mario is coming back. Mario's coming. Yeah, so I think a lot of fans were asking me about Mario. Mario should be coming, but as you know, everything can go wrong still. And to talk about the players I was lucky to play against, I mean, I remember looking up to so many players, and the first years at City we were getting consistently beaten by these players that we're going to face today. But then we turned the tables, and we were going to Old Trafford and winning, and we were going to the Emirates and winning, and still not managed to go to Anfield and win, but it will happen with time. These players have meant a lot to us as well, and showed as well as a benchmark that we've developed, so I'm glad to have them here, and it's a true honor for me to even have them at such an event. Did you ask Yaya? Was he not available? No, Yaya. Of course I asked. Yeah, you can't have a game without asking but Yaya is in China at the moment, and I think his club are very serious about going back up to the first division, and therefore he apologized and said he couldn't make it. But of course, Yaya had to be here.
Vincent, Mike from BBC Radio Manchester. When you first came in 2008, I can't imagine you'd have thought you were here for 10 years. So what were your targets when you first came? How long did you think you'd be here? What were you hoping to achieve?
Honestly, I came here, I thought I want to win the Premier League. And realistically, it couldn't happen with City, but I just very quickly heard about the new guys coming in, and I'm obviously speaking about the Abu Dhabi group, and they were bringing in a lot of players. So where normal players would have to go from one club to another and then kind of use it as a platform to go higher, I was lucky to see my development go together. I was 22, so I was lucky to see my development go together with the improvement of the team, and actually peak at the right time where the team was winning trophies and I was a big part of it. That allowed me as well to stay at one club and be successful. But I don't think, so many owners come in and say we're going to do this and this and that. Most of them don't even believe in it themselves. But it's the leadership style that was unbelievable for us, for this club to grow. We've had a lot of turnover of staff, but really we've also been able to work. I mean, I'm mentioning Simon. I mean, I've seen him that he looks more fancy now, and he looks like he's a top guy for the press. But he's still like we were part of this same journey. That's what I mean. And so this leadership style has allowed people to grow within the organization, and the club has kind of grown around them. And that's what makes me, that's what makes this journey very special. That's why I'm confident that this club will keep going places, and it's just a matter of time.
Finally, did Shay Given do something to upset you, given that he's with the Premier League All-Stars but is a former City player?
No, like I said, I don't, there's a lot of big names where, back in the days they would cry if they didn't play 90 minutes. Now you're not doing them a favour if they play 90 minutes. So there's a lot of guys ahead of the game saying, you know what, my back or my calf or my hamstring. So we needed cover on every position, and Shay's going with Van der Sar for the other team. They'll be good there. By the end of it, look, we had an idea, and by the end of it, there's a whole lot of big names that are just going to try and get through 90 minutes. That's the concept today.
Hello, Vincent. You've been away from Manchester. You've been in Brussels for a couple of months now, so I've got a couple of questions. First, do you miss Manchester? Was going back to Brussels like coming home? And does this day feel like some kind of farewell to the club, or can you say to the fans, "I'll be back maybe one day"?
Look, I'm a fan of the club, right? I'm a City fan, so I'm not saying farewell. I'm not doing any big announcements. I'm here as an ex-player. I'm here as well as a fan, and we're supporting a great cause. But going to Brussels for me was always. I spent 15 years with Anderlecht. This is my 15th now, and I spent 11 years with City. I think it kind of sums me up as who I want to be as a person and how I've always been. I put a lot of time and effort into. Just contributing to this club being successful, and I'm saying it in the most humble way, having a small contribution. The same idea behind me being at Anderlecht, just consistency, loyalty, and building and following a process, and then more likely than not achieving. It's been the story of my life, and injuries, everything else, it's part of the journey, but it's never stopping the process.
Vincent, vous avez déjà peut-être un petit peu répondu à cette question, mais vous avez eu deux amours dans votre vie de footballeur, c'est Anderlecht et Manchester City. Ouais. Est-ce que vous pouvez les comparer?
Alors, si je dois comparer, so they're asking me to compare Man City and Anderlecht.
En tout cas, leur amour.
Je le fais en français?
S'il te plaît, oui.
Ouais. Alors, Anderlecht est un énorme club dans un petit pays, mais on a quand même le sentiment d'être dans un gros club. La pression est différente aussi que dans les tout gros clubs comme à ce moment-là on parle de City. Je pense qu'à City c'est plus une pression interne. Le niveau est tellement haut, à chaque fois il faut donner le meilleur de soi-même, et même à ce moment-là c'est peut-être pas sûr que c'est suffisant. Je pense qu'à Anderlecht c'est plutôt au niveau de la culture, plus une pression externe. Pas pour moi, mais j'ai l'impression que les gens qui travaillent dans les deux clubs, ici on subit plus la pression interne, et à Anderlecht on subit plus facilement la pression externe. Mon objectif c'est de changer cela, mais chaque chose en son temps. Et voilà, mais moi je garde mes principes du plus haut niveau. J'ai pas le choix. Je peux pas d'un coup arriver dans nouvel environnement et changer ce que j'ai appris finalement. Donc pour moi, le principe de la pression interne reste ce que je mets en valeur. Et c'est ce que j'essaie de transférer à toutes les personnes avec qui on travaille en direct.
Et ces deux clubs-là, tu les aimes de la même manière?
Just 1 second. We're gonna have to wrap the press conference up in a couple of minutes, but Vinny's delighted to be doing another one later after the game tonight. So any questions we don't get through now, we can do tonight. We'll take the last one.
Je disais, ces deux clubs, tu les aimes de la même manière?
Je peux pas dire. J'aime les deux clubs je dis toujours, City c'est dans mon cœur et Anderlecht c'est dans mon sang. Après, à vous de décider de quelle manière. Mais c'est comme ça. Voilà, c'est difficile à dissocier.
Okay. Like I said, we'll do some more questions tonight at the press conference after the game.
Thank you, guys. You're allowed to make a donation as well, guys.